Nebraska's ranked. It's a short week at a rival, but are the Huskers distracted?
You are Locked On Nebraska, your daily Nebraska Cornhuskers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Good morning, and thanks for making Locked On Nebraska your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome in. This week's flying by. It's Wednesday already. We are set up for a big game Friday night in Minneapolis. Number 25, Nebraska visits Minnesota, TCF Bank Stadium, 7 p.m. Fox, Tim Brando on the call. One day ahead of schedule we are this week as we move through the series of podcasts. We will have predictions for the Nebraska game and other games around the country today. And we're going to do a mailbag on Thursday, tomorrow's show. So if you have a question, go ahead and get it in. Friday, there will be a guest on the show, a guest host, dare I say. Connor's going to be out for a couple of days. So I'll be figuring things out on game day and getting into more analysis without your assistance.
That's okay. You could definitely do this without me. Also, by the way, have some respect. Huntington Bank Stadium in Minneapolis now will be the host of this game.
Oh gosh,
unbelievable!
That's right. There's a new sponsor of the stadium. Maybe it's not even that new. It hasn't been TCF Bank for a while.
Probably been a few years. Low key. We haven't talked about this. Like, we won't talk about it probably at all this week. But I'd like to mention it. Lovely place to watch a college football game. Always enjoyed my trip to Minnesota. I've been there to see Nebraska play probably 3 or 4 times now, I think, over the 15 years Nebraska's been in the league. It's great. I love it. I would encourage people to make the trip if they could do it. Maybe even you could get off early on Friday and make it up there in time for the game. Like, it's a cool trip, and it's an easy one.
Yeah, I'm making the drive on Friday, leaving early. So that's like me calling the arena downtown in Omaha here the Quest Center.
Little dated. That's all.
Yeah. All right. Tuesday in Lincoln, Nebraska coordinators Dana Holgorsen and John Butler, along with several players, shared their thoughts about this game against the Gophers. We heard from Emmett Johnson. He's the man of the hour right now after his 176-yard rushing effort against Maryland last week. Emmett Johnson is the 7th leading rusher in the nation right now as he heads home for a game that has long been circled on his calendar. He was very, very buttoned up and short with his answers. Did not want to get into any kind of like motivational conversation. Didn't want to share too much about how he views this game. You could tell with his answers that there is a lot there that Emmett was just not going to say in front of the cameras on Tuesday.
I love it. Hey, he's been clear about that the entire time. He wanted to go to Minnesota. He didn't get an offer from Minnesota. He got an offer from Nebraska. He took it, and he's worked his way up, and now he's one of the top backs in the Big Ten. So that's great. That's awesome for Nebraska. There's some motivation there. There's, he's also a guy that people rally around too on the team. So like, there's probably going to be like let's do it for Emmett type of deal on Friday. So anything helps, especially in a week. From the outside, the discourse has not necessarily been about the Minnesota game.
All right. So based on what I saw and heard, Nebraska is focused on this game. I question that I have received a few times outside of the football conversations inside of Nebraska's complex is something along the lines of, are the Huskers distracted this week because of the noise that's taking place in the media and around the fan base about Matt Rhule's potential interest in the Penn State opening? And we made it 4 minutes into this podcast without mentioning anything about the Penn State job. So congratulations to us.
We did it. That would be a record. Nice job by us.
This is going to be there. And yes. My feel from being around them yesterday, very quickly, I mean, some of the guys are in and out of the room in 5 minutes, but you could generally get a vibe for like what the team mood is like. They're loose, they're comfortable, they're in the moment. I think they're confident, but in a mature kind of confidence. Something that has become a trait of this team but it's maybe more pronounced even after the way they rallied to win last week.
I would say this. I think it's a great thing that Nebraska has this. I mean, this is sort of a unique challenge this week. You mentioned with all the stuff, the conversation around the team and whether or not they want to acknowledge it or whatever, it's there. It's a conversation, and they know that it's a conversation. But on the field, you have an opponent that 100% has your attention because they've done nothing but beat you for a long time now. It's a regional type of rival. It's on a Friday night. So you have all these things that like require more focus, or more intense focus throughout the week. I think it's a good thing for Nebraska. Obviously the challenge is really difficult, but like, if Nebraska this week with all that has gone on was coming back home to play Northwestern at 11 o'clock on BTN, that maybe doesn't get your attention quite as much on the face. Whether or not that's a real thing, or like I said, I don't think they would ever like admit that to you. But I do like that Nebraska has a really unique challenge this week to sort of lock in on.
Hey, Northwestern Nebraska, by the way, next Saturday is in the 6-day window. They're on the TV.
So every other game in the Big Ten that week. This is quite a lot. Yeah,
it's weird. All right, so we will have an update on the Matt Rhule Penn State talk in the second segment today, but I want to start here 7 minutes in with something that I don't think we devoted enough attention to after the Maryland game, because we were talking about the nature of the final drive, and then immediately the discussion turned to the head coach. So did Nebraska find its run game out there on the East Coast last week? They gained 193 yards on the ground. That's the highest total for the Huskers by quite a long ways against a Power 4 opponent this year. And Maryland's defense is just as good or better than a couple of those that Nebraska has seen. That's 6.4 yards per attempt. Emmett Johnson, of course, led the way. But what was going on with Dana Holgorsen that allowed this door to open? So we talked to him about this on Tuesday, and as Matt Rhule said right after the game, Nebraska started on Saturday with the intent to go run the ball. The strategy from Dana after the previous 2 weeks, when the pass rush was ramped up and put Dylan Raiola on the ground 12 times with the ball in his hand, so 12 sacks. This strategy was the strategy that he had taken into those previous 2 games was not necessarily to find balance in the offense. It was to do what he thought worked. And it turns out it's not that simple. So he designed a different plan against Maryland to slow down the Terps' defensive ends. They came into last week, Maryland did, leading the league in sacks. So here is Dana from Tuesday talking about what's going on with the run game in Lincoln.
And a look at what I'd looked at the previous 2 weeks. I mean, we had to do something different. I wish I would have had that mindset probably the previous couple of weeks, but when we just really challenged everybody involved. I thought our receivers blocked as good as they've blocked. That matters. The tight ends are getting better. Emmett ran hard. The young kids got in there and ran hard, and then obviously everything starts up front. And right from the get-go, you knew that our mentality was a little bit different when it comes to that. And it just makes it so much easier for me to be patient and stick with it when you're getting good positive yards.
Yeah, easy to say this with the results that they got. But I just thought in the moment that the run game absolutely and definitively had more just bite to it, like I've probably mentioned this probably 3 or 4 times in this podcast now, but like, the week after the Michigan game, they went back and they showed them the film of the Michigan game of like, here's how it's done. And here's the sort of like mentality that you have to have. And Holgorsen mentioned just there, like we challenged everybody. It looks like, so you're asking like, okay, how can we go from this week to week thing where I'm not sure if the running backs are good. I'm not sure if the offensive line is good. And then bang, they have a great performance on Saturday. I just think who knows why it happens. Maybe they're challenged in the week or you have this like mentality of running the ball and this is the way they're going to do it. But the result of it was for sure everybody up front, wide receivers, running backs included, everybody had more just bite to them. A little bit more of a chip on their shoulder and an anger to them when Nebraska ran the ball. And that's what I saw. That was different. That's what made that comeback so cool. That's part of what made that comeback so cool on Saturday, because it was accentuated by a 50-yard run, one of the best runs we've seen in a while. And that's a great thing to take going into especially this game in particular.
It has to start with Holgorsen, I think. He sets the tone because he's deciding what Nebraska is going to do, what its mentality is going to be coming out of the gate. If their script, and the players get this on Thursday or Friday, includes 70% passes, and it appears that the offensive coordinator is not intent to try to challenge the defensive front of the other team, then I think the players, including Emmett Johnson and the linemen, come into the game with a mindset that's different than what we saw Saturday at Maryland. So I love the idea of starting the game with that intent to run the ball. Yeah.
When you're going to get it and you're going to get loaded up in that game as a back, like you're like, all right, this is my game.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when you call, it's like when you get your name called in the huddle, like the ball's going to you, except for it going into the game. You're going to get it and you're going to get all lathered up and stuff like that. Like, that's a great feeling for a football player.
If you're a team that's not capable of it, then I understand the reason to not do that. And I think we've wondered if Nebraska's capable of it in a few instances this season. The reality is they are. Like, this offensive line is good enough to be able to run the football. They're not going to run it for 200 yards with their backs every game, but they can be effective as a running team. And as long as Emmett Johnson is doing what he did, whatever got into him, and I think a lot of it had to do with Dana and his mentality, whatever got into him on Saturday, they need more out of that. And let's finish this segment with a clip from Cam Lenhardt. Cam Lenhardt, defensive end, was at the podium on Tuesday, and I asked him about Emmett and what the defense saw from Nebraska's running back as that game wore on, specifically on the 50-yard run in the fourth quarter. And here's Cam. This is great, talking about the Nebraska running back.
I remember Emmett came up to us as me and Judy were sitting on the bench, and he was like, man, like, he was like, they can't stop me, like, just feed me the rock. And and then it was crazy because that was right before he had the run. So then when he went out there and hit the run, like, it was like, like, he just spoke it into existence. So, Emmett's, I love Emmett. And just for him to do something like that and, like, go out there and do it, like, I'd be like, oh, shoot. So, like, that, like, as a defense, like, you see him do that, like, it's like, all right, like, now I got to go match that energy.
Thank you, Cam. If you're watching along with this on YouTube, you got the full Cam Lenhardt experience with the eyes and the whole thing, which makes it better in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know what that sounds like without being able to see it. I'm just gonna have to listen to it, and I'll still see it because I've seen it in my head and I saw it live in person. But we're gonna need Cam Lenhardt every week at Nebraska press conferences to come and just and be Cam Lenhardt.
Yep, great idea. All right, when we come back, we'll check in on what a player or two had to say online and offline about the Matt Rhule conversation this week. But first, a word from our friends from Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Check out the Mazda lineup of vehicles for a fit that'll work for you. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride. It has more IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus awards than any other company as of August of 2025. Footwork, breathwork, athletes, this, sweat, all the details. Mazda brings this same intention to how they craft every model. Feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but. With smooth handling to intuitive controls, it's easy to enjoy your time behind the wheel of a Mazda. And with all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you will drive with confidence through almost any season. Like the athletes you watch, Mazda sweats every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved.
All right, and a word from Peloton. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with brand new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ. It is their most advanced equipment yet, designed to give you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or cross-training with your favorite instructors. This training is reimagined. Peloton is built for breakthroughs. It has tools to help you plan, stay motivated, and reach your peak performance. In fact, I might go get on my Peloton bike after we get done with this podcast in a few minutes. But there's more that Peloton can give you. It has the Peloton IQ system that offers real-time strength coach training. It actually tracks your reps, suggests new weights, corrects your forms. It makes every rep safer and smarter. The swivel screen is a game changer. You can go from running on the Tread Plus to strength training without missing a beat, and the personalized class recommendations keep you engaged. You get workouts tailored to your vibe and energy level every single week. So let yourself run, lift, flex, and push forward. Enjoy the new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus today at onepeloton.com.
All right, welcome back. Connor Haber, Mitch Sherman with you here on a Wednesday. It'll be, by the time you listen to this, last call for mailbag questions. Hurry up because we're going to record that one tonight. We're moving it way, way up. So thank you, Mitch, by the way, for working around my little schedule this week. All right, let's go back to yesterday. And really, it's a full 48-hour encapsulating conversation after James Franklin gets fired on Sunday. Matt Rhule immediately is a name that pops up for the Penn State jobs. It's his alma mater. He talked about it. We played that stuff on this podcast. Now the players get a chance to sort of react. Dylan Raiola, the quarterback, Dylan Raiola, he put on his Instagram story that he was pretty confident that Matt Rhule was not going anywhere.
Had like a little symbol of a lock.
Yeah,
something about Rhule being the ball coach at Nebraska with a lock.
I do like when people call people head ball coach, for the record. So that was cool. And then, of course, he's asked about it yesterday at the media availability, and we should just play what he had to say. Here it is.
Oh, I mean, it doesn't faze him at all. It's just people stirring stuff up and making things, bigger than it is. And I couldn't tell you he's as locked in as ever on this football game to get this win. So I just had to make sure that everybody knew that that's our head ball coach, and he ain't going nowhere. He's staying right here.
Okay, so a couple different things here. First of all, I believe him that he is locked in as ever on this football game. I think this could be a bonding experience for everybody. I also believe that he said, hey, look, I'm not going anywhere. I'm your coach. He said the same thing to the media on Monday. I also don't think we know yet. I also don't think we could definitively say one way or the other whether the end result will be him being here or there or anywhere else. So keep that in mind. It would not be the first time. I'm not trying to say that this is a thing, but it wouldn't be the first time a coach said, hey, look, I'm your coach and I'm not going anywhere, and then did go somewhere. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, as we said on the show Tuesday when the first comments came out, or maybe it was Monday. No, it was Tuesday. There are going to be a lot of twists and turns in this narrative over the weeks ahead, and you are best served to not ride the roller coaster with all of them. Like, somebody's going to come out today and say Matt Rhule's the leading candidate. Yeah. Expect him to sign a contract on the day after the season ends for Nebraska. Like, it's all just hot air at this point, including what the quarterback had to say on Tuesday. He's trying to rally the troops. He's trying to keep people focused. He's trying to calm the nerves. He's trying to calm perhaps his own nerves. I think he believes what he says. I think that Matt Rhule and Dylan Raiola have had a conversation. Like, they talk all the time. 100%. And this is something that Dylan would have brought up with the coach. And he probably didn't even need to bring it up with the coach, because Rhule probably approached Dylan and said, hey, or not just Dylan, but other players on the team, and has talked to to people inside the program about the fact that he intends to be at Nebraska and he's fully committed to Nebraska. But like that happened with him at Baylor at the end, and he ended up jumping. And this may be a different outcome. This may be an outcome where he doesn't get offered that job. It may be an outcome where he does get offered the job and chooses that Nebraska is the place for him. We just don't, like you said, we don't know at this point.
The best way to
nobody knows at this point. There are people out there that are saying they know. There are people out there that are saying that they know a lot of things. You know, this is Matt Rhule's dream job. I would take issue with that assessment. There are people that are saying it's a done deal. Like, it's not. So let's just stay calm through the next 6 weeks.
Yeah, I think the best way to approach it is the way that he's approached it. It's honesty and transparency, and he is being really honest about it, because you are, you know, even if the end result is he ends up leaving, you know, you're the coach at Nebraska until you're not the coach at Nebraska. This is how it works. You owe it to your players to, and then you also owe it to people to, you know, to talk about it a little bit as well, not to just, you know, ignore it and say, hey, look, I'm not going to talk about any other jobs, because that only fuels the fire. That only fuels the speculation. So I thought Rhule did a really good job with it on Monday, and he is an excellent communicator with his own team, and he definitely did that as well. So I think he's approaching it, you know, very, very professionally at the moment. And because of that, the distraction factor is certainly minimized around the Nebraska football program.
Speaking of distractions and communications, the ability to communicate, let's change the subject quickly before we get back to Nebraska and get to the
I'm
picks.
dying to talk about this. This is a great topic.
Yeah. So Nebraska has an excellent communicator in Matt Rhule, and some of what he does is strategic. Some of it's intuitive. You just kind of know how to communicate and how to interact with people. Have you ever met someone that doesn't really understand how to communicate and interact with people, and just no matter what the subject is, when you talk to them, it's always kind of awkward?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so Sherrone Moore, the coach at Michigan, after his team lost 31-13 Saturday at USC, very seriously came to his press conference Tuesday. I had to check like several sources to see that this actually happened, and it wasn't like all memes and AI creations. He came in a blue work jacket with Sherrone scripted onto the left breast. This is like someone might wear into an auto factory. You know, it's Michigan, like blue collar workman, like, we got to get back to work. We're a football team. If you need the message beat over your head.
There he is.
Got it right there. Yeah, there he is. Good job.
There he is.
Good job.
He's a mechanic, you know, he's working. He's working very hard.
So this inevitably led to some hilarious memes of Moore dressed up as an astronaut, as a chef. There's the chef, a firefighter, construction worker, a janitor, a plumber, a mime, a sailor. It's so many more.
I tried to get as many as I could there. I got you two, which I thought was really good. Yeah, I got a cowboy that I could get in here momentarily as well. If you're watching on YouTube, you know, you're getting the show with us right now. But what a great job by the internet. You know, they did there he is. Oh. There's, you know, and then they each have their own, because the statement that he made was like something along the lines of, This is why I'm wearing a mechanic or a work shirt, you know, work shirt today, because I just think we got to get back to work. Yeah, and then the memes they had a sentence to go along with each of them. For example, the astronaut one: as a program, we have to take small steps before we can get to giant leaps. Sherrone Moore. That's why I'm wearing chef whites to remind the team and fans to just keep calm and let me cook. Sherrone Moore, which he did not.
This is just weird, and it does not resonate with people at all in the way that he intended, or that someone who advises him intended. It just makes him look silly as a head coach to dress up and try to send a message to your team in that way. So I don't know what the message is necessarily from us about this, but like, be grateful if you follow Nebraska that you have someone who understands like the layers and depth that's required to be an effective communicator.
Yeah, he's kind of corny, Rhule is, but I think he also is a really keen understander of the pulse of young people and the people around him, and knows that he would just get made fun of too much if he did this, so he wouldn't do it. He
As
doesn't like
anyone
being
would.
made fun of.
Anyone would. There's no coach that could pull that off. If
Yeah.
Kirby Smart came out, could you imagine if Kirby Smart came out in like a I don't even know. In a mechanic shirt, whatever. We're not gonna We're not gonna start that. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll make picks on Nebraska, Minnesota, and whatever else is going on in college football this coming weekend. A word first from Wayfair. The holidays are going to be here before you know it, which is exciting, but getting your home ready for guests and celebrations can feel like a lot. Maybe you need something to give your home a refresh. Maybe you have a guest room that could use new bedding. Wayfair has everything that's required to get your home holiday ready, from Christmas trees to wreaths to bedding, cookware, outdoor inflatables. It's your one-stop shop for every room. And every room inside of your house and outside of your house. Wayfair makes it easy to personalize your home for the holidays with a huge selection for every style and budget. And with free and easy delivery, even on the big stuff, you can get all that you need without the hassle of big delivery fees. So get organized, get refreshed, get back to the routine for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair. Every style, every home.
Quick word from SupplyHouse. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with SupplyHouse. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow with over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting on projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. Nice. Sports references. Need parts fast for a project? SupplyHouse has next-day delivery. Tell me about a game changer right there. The Part Finder tools and 3D schematics can save you hours on jobs where every detail matters. Their Trademaster perks like priority shipping and dedicated support make the whole process smoother. So join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com. Sign up for free and use promo code SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. Supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service.
Welcome back. Final segment of this Wednesday episode of the Locked On Nebraska podcast. Mitch Sherman, Connor Happer with you. All right, we're going to make picks on Nebraska, Minnesota. I know it seems early, but the game is Friday. So here we are on just Wednesday making our picks. We've hardly talked about this matchup all week because of various distractions and things that are going on. So, Connor, but I'll get to this when we actually pick the game. But let's start with Dylan Raiola, where we always start in this conversation. Last week, he threw for 260 yards against Maryland's defense. We've got the over-under set right about there, 260.5 for Raiola this Friday night. Nebraska, as a team, is throwing for 310 per game this year. Minnesota's allowing right at 200. Do you go over or under?
Yeah, good number. I just, when I think about a nice day for Dylan, I think like 270, 280. So I'll go over. Even though that maybe is a little bit aggressive, but I think it's a good number. Let's just go with the over.
Okay, I'm going to go under. I think he'll be in the mid twos. I think Nebraska liked what it saw from that mentality to run the football and is going to try to continue to do that in this Friday night game. I think it knows like you have to play this physical Big Ten style in order to beat the Gophers. Emmett Johnson, total offense yardage. So rushing yardage plus receiving yardage. He's 7th in the nation in rushing at 108.3 per game. Minnesota is allowing 108 on the ground per game to entire teams on average. So that's a pretty good number. Johnson good. At 132.5.
Yeah, I think they'll probably key in on him because they know that if Emmett's going, that it unlocks sort of the rest of Nebraska's offense.
It does.
in a way that makes sense for Nebraska. So I'll say under. Not that he's going to have a bad day. I just think they're going to be keenly aware of what he's going to bring to the table.
I'm going to say over. I'm going to say we saw what a motivated Emmett Johnson does, what it looks like, and he's going to add some contributions in the receiving game. I don't have him going 130 on the ground, but I think all told, he will hit that and get to 133 or more. All right, Drake Lindsey is Minnesota's quarterback, redshirt freshman. He stormed for 214 yards a game. Nebraska still leads the country at 118 per game, allowing. That's after Malik Washington had a nice performance, going over 200 for the first time by a Nebraska opponent last week. We've set this at 174.5. Will Drake Lindsey get to 175 yards through the air?
Yes, I'm going to take advantage once again of your criminally low passing yards numbers from other quarterbacks. Give me the over yet again.
Yeah, another freshman. Nebraska's seen Bryce Underwood, Malik Washington, now Drake Lindsey in the Big Ten. I'm going to say they hold him under. I'm going to say the Nebraska defense steps up and has a big day. And Lindsey has some accuracy issues in this game, and he throws for somewhere in the range of 150 to 160. All right,
they're going to throw it a lot. Like they can't really run it that well. So they're going to throw it.
Yeah, low yardage total for Minnesota is what I've got on Friday night in the book. Isaiah Hunter, emerging threat, more than emerging. He's here for the Nebraska offense. He scored 2 touchdowns last week, had a big touchdown against Michigan State in Nebraska's comeback the week prior. Will he get to 100 yards? He's been at 93 and 125 the past 2 games. And I put this as total offense, not receiving, because I was thinking about this as I walked out of the stadium back to the parking lot yesterday. Do you see a situation where Nebraska is going to start to use Isaiah Hunter as a rushing threat? Not like line him up at tailback. Is he going to get a carry in this game? I think he will. And I think he's going to go over 100 yards. So I have him over 99.5.
Maybe. I think you have Ja'Cory Barney, doing those things for you a little bit.
I think Hunter would be better at it.
Hunter, yeah, maybe he would be. He's certainly a versatile weapon. It's a big number. I don't think that I can just bank on him having 100 receiving yards. So I'll take the under. Doesn't mean he's going to have a bad day, but I'll just play the odds there.
All right. Will Nebraska win the turnover margin? Last week it lost -3.
Yes, they will. They will this week.
I'm going to say it'll be even. It'll be even on Friday night. Okay. Will Nebraska block a kick, return a punt 30+ yards, or a kickoff 50+ yards? So have a game-changing play in special teams, which has become a staple of its victories.
This is great. I love that we're talking about this halfway through the season. These would have been absurd numbers like 6 weeks ago. Return a punt. Yeah, return a punt. Yeah, they'll have a nice punt return in this game.
Okay, I'll go no on this one. I think the special teams will be fine, but I don't think they're gonna have a breakout play in special teams at Minnesota. I think Minnesota will be well prepared for what Nebraska has been serving up on special teams this season. They're gonna have to win it with their offense and defense. Okay, will Nebraska hold the lead or be tied at halftime? Why do we put this question in here? Because Nebraska is on a 10-game streak of either leading or being tied.
Wow.
Thank you, Hail Mary. 10-game streak, which is the longest since 2001.
Wow. Yeah. Let's go. Let's continue betting on black here. Let's go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think Nebraska will be ahead at halftime of this game. So speaking of droughts or streaks, Nebraska last won back-to-back contests on the road in 2006 at Iowa State and Kansas State. So the opportunity to do something that's not happened at this school in 19 years is upon the Huskers on Friday. Number 25, Nebraska, 8.5-point favorite at Minnesota, 7 p.m. on Fox. That line, according to the FanDuel Sportsbook.
Yeah, fascinating what's happened. I mean, it opened at 4.5, immediately got up to 5.5, got all the way up to 9.5 yesterday. and it's kind of settled in. It looks like at 8.5. It seems big. I gotta be honest. It seems like a big number, but then when I sort of do the score math in my head, I come up with 30 to 21. So that's basically where we're sitting at. So let's just go with my gut here. 30 to 21. Nebraska covers by the hook, and they come back home happy.
Yeah. Okay. You like them to cover. Over-under's 46.5, by the way, in this game. I'm going to say Nebraska wins 34-24. So I've got them covering as well. We both have Nebraska covering this
I don't
week.
like that. I don't know. It's very possible that Nebraska, this is going to be a very close game. It's going to be deep water going to the fourth quarter again.
What I was going to say at the start of this segment, and I wanted to hold it out until we got to the prediction. I almost picked Nebraska to lose last week. I had somewhat low and enough confidence to actually make the pick for Nebraska to win, but it was low, and it took me down until like the seconds before I actually said the score during our pod last Thursday before I decided for certain that I believed Nebraska would win. So, and if you'd have told me that they were going to have to do it climbing out of a -3 turnover margin, no chance. No chance. So they can't do that this week. You can't lose the turnover margin by 3 at Minnesota. You can't expect Minnesota to beat itself in some of the ways that Maryland did last week. All right. Yeah. Big Ten game of the week is not a conference game. Number 20, USC at number 13, Notre Dame, 6:30 on NBC. Notre Dame has won 6 of the past 7 in this series. And by the way, this game is going to go away unless changes are made after next season. They are not scheduled to play beyond 2026.
Should be a crime. These teams should play every single year, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get the number. I really don't. I don't really understand it. How Notre Dame is a 9.5 point favorite in this game. So give me USC. I'll take all those points.
You like the Trojans? Okay. Yeah. You think they're going to win outright?
Yeah, I think they very well could. Yeah.
Okay. I'll take USC to cover. I'm not sure about winning outright, but this is a big game for Nebraska to keep an eye on because it's gonna either give USC a big boost with that game's going to be here before we know it in a couple of weeks after this one when the Trojans come to Nebraska. So this is a big one, I think, for what USC looks like as a team when we see them in early November. All right, very quickly, our national games of the week are both in the SEC. We're just going to pick 2. Number 5, Ole Miss at number 9, Georgia. Dogs are a 7.5 point favorite, 2:30 p.m. on ABC, first part of a big doubleheader.
Give me Ole Miss here to cover this touchdown on the road.
Yeah, I could see Ole Miss winning outright. I could see it. So I'll take the Rebs as well. And then number 11, Tennessee at number 6, Alabama, right after the Ole Miss Georgia game on the same network, ABC, 6:30 p.m. The Crimson Tide are an 8.5 point favorite.
Give me Bama. Bama covers. Gosh, I watched them a lot against Missouri last week. Missouri is really good, for the record, and Bama's flawed like any other top team in the country, but they're still a pretty good team. Give me the Tide. Ty
Simpson moving up the Heisman Trophy ladder. I like Tennessee in this game. After I talk about the Alabama quarterback, I like Tennessee to cover the spread, perhaps not win the game. All right. That's it for us. Thanks for listening today. Thanks for making Locked On Nebraska your first listen. For your second listen, check out Locked On Big Ten. Craig is there to break down the most exciting games in college sports, from rivalries to championships, everything in between. There is the man, Sherrone Moore, the man of the hour. Find Locked On Big Ten on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. It is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.